Hey, want to learn something Asian? The fall of the Joseon Dynasty. You see, a long, long time ago, back in ancient Korea, and by ancient I mean early 1800s, the Joseon Dynasty held complete rule over Korea. And, they didn't have it for long, just, 500 years. Korea during this time was a fairly isolated country. Not completely isolated where it had no contact, but it kept everyone at an arm's length away. However, this would all change due to a teeny tiny little country. So after Japan had modernized itself thanks to the Meiji Restoration, it started eyeing Korea and decided that they wanted to do a little bit of conquering. Just for fun. So the Japanese rolled up on Korea with warships, thoroughly scared the absolute piss out of them, and forced them to sign the Treaty of Ganghwa, which opened up some new trading ports in Korea, and also let the Japanese just kind of do what they wanted in Korea. And besides, it's not like Korea could really do anything to stop them. Moving on, with Korea being heavily exposed to Japan, it started to take in a whole bunch of new ideas from the Japanese. And many of the youngsters in the Korean government became very intrigued by the idea of modernization. And so the government ended up splitting into two sides. Reformers who wanted change and modernization, and conservatives who wanted to keep everything relatively the same. And both sides really did not like each other. Introducing the Gapson coup. In this coup, the reformers, along with some Japanese, were able to seize the Korean palace. And they did so for about 3 days, in which time the Chinese showed up, beat the hell out of the uprisers, scared off the Koreans, and entered a fierce rivalry with Japan.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, so the peasants weren't very happy about everything that was going on. The peasants revolted, demanding that the government make changes so they can mend their own incompetence and also protect them from Japanese influence. In a panic from this, the Koreans begged the Chinese for help to put down the revolt. And when the Chinese showed up to save the day, the Japanese really didn't like that, so they also decided to pull up in Korea. And both sides successfully antagonized each other, which successfully started the First Sino-Japanese War, in which the Japanese absolutely wiped the floor with the Chinese, prompting the Japanese to hold more control over Korea.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
In Korea, Empress Joseon decided she wanted to oppose Japanese influence. She also wanted to make an alliance with Russia just to get more support in the matter. And so what did Japan decide to do because of all of this? Straight up assassinate her, which sent Korea into a damned panic, and also allowed Russia to gain some power in Korea, which of course, the Japanese did not like, which ended up starting the Russo-Japanese War. And take a guess what happened. Yeah, Russia was dealt unholy hands by Japan. And this victory basically gave Japan the freedom to do whatever the hell they wanted to with Korea. And what the Japanese decided to do was completely take over the Korean government and permanently bring down the Joseon Dynasty. And thus was the fall of the Joseon Dynasty. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.